It's so nice to have you here with me. Although if you're taking this class, it's pretty likely you're feeling a little sick. Sorry to hear that, and I hope you feel better soon. But over here where I live anyway, it's that time of year. It's fall, it's October. Everyone's catching colds, coughs, flus, you name it. Everyone's experiencing a little bit of something right now. So if that's you, this class is for you. It's going to be an all levels class, so even if you're relatively new to yoga, we'll have some good stuff for you. And if you've taken my yoga for when you're under the weather class, this class will be a little different, a little bit of a different approach for when we're sick. The other class was super duper gentle, and this class will actually be quite gentle too, but it won't be quite a yin practice. We will move a little bit, and there's reason for this, right? When you're sick, you're sitting a lot, obviously, and then the body gets really tight. So from a muscular standpoint, we just want to open up, loosen up a little bit, right? But another reason why we want to move around a little bit and generate some very subtle, low-level heat is because we might want to clear some congestion in our sinuses or our chest, our lungs. So that's a nice way to put this. You might get a little messy in the face from this class, so you're definitely going to want a handkerchief or a tissue or a box of tissues if you're really stuffy. We're going to be not afraid to get a little snotty with it, okay? Yoga is a practice that is sometimes very beautiful and nice seeming in the breath and quiet and contained. But we also remember yoga is a practice of purification. And so to purify, let's say, our sinuses, we need to get the snot out. If you've ever done the neti pot, that actually comes from a practice from yoga where you're cleaning your nostrils with water. So just a fun little fact there. But we're definitely going to be doing some breathing that encourages the flow to produce. You get what I'm saying? And we'll also get some opportunities to clear the chest as well. So definitely have a tissue, definitely have some water, maybe some tea. Oh man, I'm drinking coffee, but I'm not really sick today, so that's my excuse for my vice. I definitely love my coffee. But get yourself some beverages, make sure you're prepared in that way, and grab yourself a cushion to sit on. A big thick cushion is good. If you don't have a yoga cushion, you could use a block. If you don't have a block, you can use a thick bed pillow or a thickly folded blanket, something that can get kind of tall like this. Okay. And we'll start in a comfortable seat. Oh, and make sure you wash your hands before this because we're going to be touching our face a little bit, okay? So wash your hands real good. Like I said, we're going to move a little bit. It will be gentle, but we will move a bit just to get things going and flowing in the body, quite simply put. And you want to make sure you're wearing something comfortable, but another thing when I'm sick, just kind of for the mental game, not only comfortable, but also something that feels like a love note to yourself. So I'm wearing my fuzziest little sweater. I'm wearing a little pendant that makes me feel like I'm healing. It could be something small. It could be even having a little object next to you that's pretty that you like to look at. It doesn't have to be on your body per se. Maybe some soft socks. Put on something that's comfortable but also adorning, right? Because you deserve to feel yourself a little bit even if you're sick. Okay, rant over. Join me in a comfortable seat for this short and sweet practice. And we're going to do 2 different types of pranayama today. Have your tissue nearby. And I'm going to demonstrate the first one. Now I want to acknowledge if you have a really stuffy nose, this will be hard. Just do your best. We just do our best, okay? First, we're just going to take a few breaths in and out of the nose. Now I want to acknowledge, like I said, if your nose is really stuffy, that exhale is not going to sound so clear. It's going to sound kind of chunky and gross. And this is where you're going to want to have a tissue in your hand. You can literally exhale and blow your nose into the tissue. Like that. Breathing in through nose and out through nose. And really just letting it go. Now, if you're so stuffed that you just can't breathe in through the nose, just do your best. If every few breaths you need to sneak in a mouth breath, go ahead and do it. We're not here to be perfect at all, ever, but especially today. Be nice to yourself if you're not feeling well. Now, sometimes the tendency when we're sick, especially if we're congested in the chest and it's hard to get a full breath in, is to emphasize the inhale. But actually doing the inverse can help you clear more. So however long you inhale, try to make your exhale a little bit longer. Not only will that help you clear congestion, but will also help you calm your nervous system, which, reducing stress is always really important for when we're sick, okay? Do one more breath like that, and then I'll show you the pranayama methods. Now, of course, this is a great pranayama. If this feels good, just keep going. I just want to give a few options today. The next one is Nadi Shodhana. We've done this one before, and if that last one we just did was hard for your nose, you might just want to stick with it. But if you want to go for a little more of an aggressive nasal cleaning, you could take your second and third finger to your third eye, right thumb to right nostril, right ring finger to left nostril. You're going to close the right nostril with your thumb, breathe into your left side nostril. Hold your breath at the top and switch. Close your left nostril, exhale out the right. Inhale right. Switch. Exhale left. Now again, you might get really snotty on one side more than the other. Grab your tissue if you need it. Breathe in left. Switch. Breathe out right. Breathe in right. Switch. Breathe out left. Breathe in left. Switch. Breathe out right. Breathe in right. Switch. Breathe out left. Breathe in left. Switch. Breathe out right. Breathe in right. Switch. Breathe out left. One more cycle per side. Inhale through the left. Switch. Out the right. In through right. And out the left. Bring your hand to your lap. And breathe naturally for a breath cycle or two. I have one more breathing method for you. And I know we're doing a lot of pranayama today. I think that's because it's the most important part of yoga when you're sick, in my humble opinion. Opening the musculature will be really nice in a moment, but now that we've done these breathing practices, it'll make it even more, the rib cage, more willing to expand, right? And therefore the lungs. But our last breathing method, we've done it in other classes, is called Bhramari Pranayama. It's like that honeybee breath. So wet your whistle a little bit, drink some water. And Bhramari Pranayama, if you haven't done it yet in one of my classes, it's one of my faves. I really like this one. You're gonna bring your hands to your chest. You can take a mudra or just place them there, whatever you like. And this one is like you inhale through the nose and you exhale to hum. And we've done this one more for emotional purposes in other classes, but it also has great physical benefits for releasing congestion in the chest. You create like a vibration as you hum. Not vibration in the woo-woo way, like literally your chest vibrates. And that kind of rattling can help loosen stuff up a little bit. But of course, emotionally too. When we think of Bhramari, we think of the honeybee and how sweet to invite honey into our system. Like you would drink honey with your hot tea to soothe your throat. You can also bring it into your heart space in this way, okay? So I'll demonstrate and you can join in. It's just like this. So you inhale through nose and you exhale to hum. I do it to that melody because that's how I learned it. You could hum any way you like, really. But if you want to join me in the way I'm doing it, you're most welcome. And if you feel awkward humming in your house, I want you to give this a try anyway. It's so beneficial, okay? Join in. Sway a little bit if that feels natural. Soften your jaw. 3 more rounds. Return to natural breathing with your hands on your lap. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes if they were shut. We'll do a little bit of sinus massage and we'll move a bit, okay? Bring your second and third finger to your temples. This isn't going to be a super long self-massage, just very brief. And move down to the sides of your face, right in front of your ears, maybe right under your ears. Go very gentle here, especially if you have sinus pressure. Don't go too hard. Come to the jaw a little bit. And then come to the bridge of your nose. Massage along the sides, down to the top of the cheekbones, under the eyes. And do it again. If you get snotty here, grab your tissue, blow it out. It's all good. And then briefly down the sides of the neck, a little tapping of the chest. Okay, let's get moving. Now at any point through practice, again, it's not an intense practice at all, but if you get out of breath, you can take a break at any point and do any of those breathing exercises we just did, okay? But maybe you want to move some stuff aside. I know I need to. Take another sip of tea or coffee. Set that aside. And join me, please, on, well, actually, before we do hands and knees, switch your legs. I want to get into the neck a little bit. Maybe your neck's feeling tight for being sick. Tip your right ear to your right shoulder. Reach your left hand away from you. Deep breath in. Big breath out the mouth. Again, breathe in here. Reach a little further through left fingertips. Out the mouth. Now take that same left hand, reach it behind your back, bring it to your right hip. See that? Maybe hold your own hand, pull your shoulders back. One more breath on this side. And we'll slowly release, bring your head upright, reach your right hand away from you, left ear to left shoulder. Breathe into your right side neck, your trapezius muscle, which is that space between your neck and your shoulder that gets really tight. And then bring that hand behind your back to your left hip. Maybe hold your own hand, or you can just keep extending that arm. Breathe in. And out. Nice. Slowly bring your head to center. Take a neck circle one direction. Body's got some pops in the other direction. Lift your chin, your chest. Exhale, tuck, curl, round, empty. And now join me on hands and knees when you're ready. Set your pillow aside or keep it within reach. We will need it. From hands and knees. Oh, my ankles. Wow, my joints needed a stretch. Roll your ankles around. And go the other way. If you've been sitting in bed a lot, this alone might feel intense. Bring your feet down, toes untucked, lean your hips back, and walk your hands towards your thighs in Vajrasana. So we're not sitting between the feet, we're sitting on top of the heels, okay? If you want to feel more of a stretch, you could grab your toes and curl them up a little bit. If you still want to feel more, as you hold your toes, push your feet back into your hands. Pull the shoulders back. Now here it's easy to flare the ribs forward. While we do want to open the chest, we want to resist that. And we resist that by breathing more into the back side of the body. In fact, I kind of wore an open back top so you can see the way my back looks when I breathe in there. So I'll show you from the back side. When I'm breathing in just to the chest, it looks like this. When I'm breathing into the back, it looks like this. You see that difference? I want you to breathe back there. If you have a lot of chest congestion, this might feel really intense. Feel free to grab your tissue and blow your nose, it's okay. Try to gently tone your belly. Well, we're not here to get super strong or anything today. It's helpful to generate a little bit of heat to purify, to kind of melt stuff down inside, whether it be tension or it be congestion. And when you're ready, bring your hands to your thighs. As you exhale, push weight forward, release your low back. Hold here for a few breaths. And then slowly lower back down. Last pose here. We're going to interlace the fingers and bring them behind the head. Bring your thumbs to the base of your skull, right where your neck meets, and apply a little bit of pressure as you open up here. Keep drawing the ribs in as you open up. Breathing into the sides of your lungs. As you exhale, dip your left shoulder to the left elbow to the left knee. Come to center and switch, dip your right elbow to the right. And release, take a few shoulder shrugs, and meet me back on hands and knees. If your wrists are a little tight, maybe you want to take a little wrist circle on each side. Before we do a little bit of fun in cat and cow. But rather than just straight up cat and cow, I want to invite you to bring little spinal rolls in. Rolling back, so a little bit of a longer cat. Rolling forward, a little more of a spacious cow. Keep the belly gently drawing in, modest low-grade heat like we talked about generating here. And as we're in poses like tabletop or other poses where our head is even lower than our heart, your nose is going to gather some of that mucus probably if you have a stuffy nose, right? And that might make you feel like, oh no, I want to back out. Of course, if you can't breathe at all, do back out, right? But if you can somehow manage to stay, these poses, especially like cat, for example, where your head is down, your nose is going to drain a lot more. This is going to help you decongest. In fact, hold cat pose together. Then let's hold cow pose together. And again, let's hold cat. Let's hold cat. Now let's all take child's pose. Take your knees wide, and rest. Hold your child's pose for 3 breaths. Breathe in slowly to your back. And breathe out to ground down through your hips, widen your low back here. Breath in through the whole of your spine. Breath out to soften any tension stored in the back body. One more breath like that. We're going to inhale from child's pose, slowly crawl our way forward, engage your core, come down to your belly. Restabilize your hips, bring your legs square behind you, untuck your toes. Hands underneath your shoulders, inhale, cobra. Keep it low, don't crank up. We want to make space in the low back. When we crank through cobra, we're actually limiting our back flexibility. It's more of like a drag open. This is also going to help us open our lungs more. Rather than pushing, we're kind of pulling. Big breath out. Helps you come back to child's pose. Knees together this time. Do that a couple more times. Inhale, come forward to cobra. Strong legs. Exhale, back to child's pose. Once more, inhale, ripple forward. Shoulders roll back, cobra. And this time, exhale back to tabletop pose. Do a couple hip dips here. We're going to just let our hip go to the left. Lowering the left hip down. You might feel a stretch right here. This might be where you stop. That's great. We're kind of stretching this left side waist here. Try to open your chest a little more to the right. Kind of get an outer hip stretch too if you're sore there at all. But if you want more, you can plant that hip all the way down, reach the right leg back, and come up a little higher on left fingertips. May not look like much, but if you're sore, you'll feel it. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly switch sides, replant your hands, come back to tabletop, and dip your right hip to the right. Stopping anywhere on the way that feels like a nice stretch for the right side waist, maybe right hip, but I think you might only feel that if you're sore there. If you want more, stretch that left leg long, push into right fingertips taller. A couple breaths here, that one feels so nice. When you're ready, slowly come back to center. Take a circle through your hips one way, through your spine, your shoulders, and the other way. And you're going to meet me in downward facing dog. Now, like I said, these poses are going to feel really hard if you have a stuffy nose. Breathe in through your nose, grab your tissue, keep it nearby. And as you exhale, if you need to grab it below your nose, do it. Bend your knees as much as you need to here. Let your head go heavy. Shake out your neck. And then we're going to walk to the back of the mat. Bring your tissue with you. And we're going to come into an Uttanasana. Now, I know this is sounds like a nightmare if you have a stuffy nose, but just try your best. Even if you can just hold it for 2 breaths, that's better than none, okay? Bend your knees, spin your thighs back. Let your torso rest on your thighs. Let your head completely go heavy. Your hands can be where they feel natural, on blocks, on your ankles. You can grab ragdoll arms. But please just give in to your spine lengthening. Try your best to breathe in and out of your nose, but of course you can sneak in mouth breath whenever you need it. Breathe wide into your back. And like I said, if you're stuffy, you might come across some resistance. But sometimes in yoga, whether it be when we're sick or we're doing a really hard class or any type of yoga, we are met with a huge opportunity when we meet resistance.
We are met with this opportunity to sit with the uncomfortable, and often when we give it the time to do that, we clear. So sometimes in a vigorous practice, that would mean clearing rigidity in the body. This can mean quite literally clearing your sinuses. One more breath here. Then we're going to slowly walk our way back to downward dog. If you have tight legs from sitting in bed, you most certainly felt that fold. Take a moment again, bend the knees. And then we're going to hold downward dog. These are like kind of the strongest poses we're doing. So we're going to wrap the elbows back, plug the shoulders in, take the feet at a hip's distance or a little wider. Now, if you have like really tight legs, feel free to bend the knees, charge the hips high. From this place, you could bring your legs to straight-ish. You could straighten one leg. But here, once we can get the legs in a comfortable position to hold, I want us to focus more on the chest and the ribs. Draw the front ribs in, breathe into the back and the sides of your lungs for 5 breaths. Last breath. And use the exhale to slowly bring your knees down. Grab a sip of water. See, I told you nothing crazy, but just a little bit of heat generation. I really don't want to overdo it when we're sick, but I also think underdoing it can be a disservice. Make a few wrist circles if you need them. I'll put my sweater back on because it's a little chilly in here, and I think you understand the back breathing by now. Grab a sip of tea if you need it. Let this be like a moment. Okay, from here, we'll come back to tabletop pose. And we're gonna take the right leg back. And then we're just gonna swing the right knee in front of the left knee for Gomukhasana, cow face pose. For some people, that swing through is really hard, okay? If that's you, you could put your hands on blocks, or you could just enter from a seat, crossing the right leg over the left leg, okay? Gomukhasana, the goal is to have your knees stacked. Now that's kind of hard if you have tight hips. That's okay, no problem. They can be more like this, as long as you still feel the stretch in your outer hip, you're flexing your toes. We're just gonna breathe here for a little bit. Continue to breathe wide in your lungs. Let your shoulders drip away from your ears. Release any tension in the hips. You could stay upright or you could hinge forward, whichever feels more like what you need today. You can always put a prop underneath this right knee if it's like way up and you're really tight, like a pillow, a blanket, or a block, to kind of relieve some of the push back, the tension. One more breath on this side. And we'll slowly come up and we're gonna switch sides. So if you're doing it from a seat, you're gonna switch the cross of your legs. If you're doing it from tabletop, we're gonna kind of hinge forward, swing the right leg back, step it back, and just kind of stretch through that quad for a second by pushing back through the foot. And we'll switch. Extend the left leg behind you. And as you exhale, swing it around in front of the right knee. Split your feet and lean back. It's a really deep stretch, that transition, that rolling from tabletop back. You might feel that a lot in your hips. Flex your toes, fidget, do what you gotta do for this side of your body. And enjoy some breath here. At any point, blowing your nose if you need to, or sneaking in a mouth breath, it's all good. Stay upright or hinge. One more breath. And then slowly make your way back to tabletop, to step the left leg behind you, push back through it a little bit. And then we're going to come to our reclined poses. So last sips of water, last sips of tea, grab them now. Make sure your pillow is nearby. Because our first reclined pose will be a propped up one. We're going to do a restorative bridge. So whether you have that folded blanket, pillow, or block, make sure you have it. As you come down, come into as if you're going to enter a bridge pose, but then pick up your hips and slide the cushion underneath. Now this is a pretty high restorative bridge. It can be much lower if you have a smaller pillow or blanket or your low back is tight. Make it as low or as high as it feels good, and feel free to pause the video if you need to gather more props for this, okay? But make sure it's right underneath your low back, your sacrum. I've got kind of a big pillow, so it's extending beyond that, but really the low back is what needs to be in contact with the prop here. You can bend your knees just like this, entering a few restorative poses before we close. Or if you want more, you could extend one leg at a time really long. Now have your tissue nearby, because this is another situation where it could be kind of congestion, build up here in the throat, the chest, and the nose. Can you breathe into it? Can you breathe it out? Of course, if you get gaggy or choky, come out of this and you can sit up instead and stretch your spine in another way. Maybe simply sitting with your chest open and your fingers behind you could work as a modification. But if you can sit with the discomfort and relieve yourself of the congestion, it will do you a lot of good. Take 3 more breaths here. And when you're ready, if your legs were straight, please rebend them. Push into the feet to pick up the hips. Remove the pillow. Slowly iron your spine out to the floor. And draw your knees into your chest. Wide, tilting the pelvis up and down a little bit. And then you've got 2 choices for this next pose. The easier choice, when I say easier, I just mean more accessible in the body. I don't mean any less beneficial. The first choice would be happy baby, reaching inside the legs to grab the outsides of the feet, chasing the tail to the ground. That one feels great. You can sway side to side, start here. But if you want more for lengthening the back, the low back, the hamstrings, we can come into Halasana plow pose. If you've never done plow pose, watch me first, and once you're in it, do not turn your neck. Keep your head straight up, your gaze straight up, okay? Your head stays down, but your gaze is up. That's what I mean. Plow pose, it might feel really compressing on your chest and throat at first, but if you can breathe here, it's gonna, again, like I've been saying, help clear some of that congestion. Just see what happens, okay? If you wanna join, you bring your legs up, pick up your hips just enough to grab the low back. And just, maybe you stop here. Maybe this is a lot. Maybe your knees are bent. Maybe you stop here. Maybe you straighten them out. Maybe you keep rolling back. Your hands stay on your low back. Unless your feet can comfortably touch behind you, then you can bring them down. But I would encourage just keeping it on the low back. It's probably the most intense stretch we're gonna do.
In fact, it definitely is. You can feel free to join in if you haven't yet. If you can manage to stay, breathe into your back body. And exhale to relieve tension there. Let it melt. The body aches, the holding, the tension in the back of your ribs from coughing maybe. 3 more breaths. After 3 breaths, if you're in plow pose, slowly unravel vertebra by vertebra until your spine irons out and meet our friends back in happy baby. From happy baby, bring your feet together into butterfly, grabbing the ankles and pulling the legs away. And then draw your knees in together. Bring your feet down just to scoot your hips to the left and let your knees go to the right. A very brief supine twist. Come to center to switch. Hips to the right, knees to the left. Very brief twist. And center. Last pose here. We're going to do fish pose, Matsuyasana, and that might be surprising because it's kind of an active back bend, but I want to really get that lung tissue open and supple, okay? So don't force it. It doesn't have to be super deep, right? But what we're going to do for fish pose is extend the legs long. Bring the arms under you, kind of. You're going to push into the forearms to lift the chest up. See that action? Now, if this is a lot, you can stay here. It's not a full fish pose, but the full pose would be pushing more and bringing the head down, the top of the head down. Keep pushing your forearms down. Arcing your spine. We'll just be here for 3 breaths. And exhale to release and iron out flat on your back. And the invitation here is to come straight into Shavasana. So if you'd rather sit up for meditation, if that feels more comfortable for your sinuses at this point, feel free. Always welcome. But otherwise, rest with me. Let this practice soak in. You just did quite a bit of good work. While it was gentle, you just did a lot for your lungs, your sinuses, your achy joints. Use the next handful of breaths to drop in. Remembering the places you massaged on your face and asking yourself if you can soften them more. And beyond your face, what else can you soften? Your shoulders, your hips, your glutes. Are you unconsciously squeezing even just a little bit? Your quads, feet, ankles. Sometimes when we're sick, we also have this really tight stress around wanting to feel better soon. Can we soften that grip a little bit? Can we just trust our body is healing? If we take good care of it, it will return healing in our favor in its time. It need not be rushed or stressed about. The more we can relax into the rest we need, the quicker we're going to get better. And the more we resist it, the more we fight it, the more we try to push it away, the more likely we are to stay sick longer. Use this next exhale out the mouth to release any stress. And to sink deeper into your mat or your seat. Your body might be tingling with sensation. Let this be a little glimmer of love to every cell in your body. Give you about a minute or so of quiet before we come out of our Shavasana together. Start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe a big stretch overhead. And when you're ready, you can bend a knee at a time, roll over to your side, and press yourself up. Nice and gently into a comfortable seat. Taking a moment to bring your hands to your chest or your thighs, whatever feels good, and tune inward. Feel the effect of the practice on your body, on your mind. Notice if anything feels softer, maybe the feeling of your hands or the feeling in your face. Let's close with one round of Brahmari, the humming. So we'll breathe in through nose and we'll hum out just once. Thanks so much for practicing with me today. It's been my absolute honor to hold space for you on your sick day. Please drink a ton of water. Lemon water is great. Not to play doctor here, because I'm not a doctor. Drink some tea, ginger tea, mint tea. Do a steam where you breathe in the steam and breathe out all the gunk. Take good care of yourselves. Eat well. Rest well. I'll see you soon. Feel better. Have a great day.